Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it's Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Settle down, settle down. I'm Joe Callahan. Nice to have everybody with us. Nice to have the full panel with us on a Wednesday. Let's say good morning to Melissa Smith from the St. Antoine Communities. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning.
And Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union. Hey, Tim.
Hey, there I am. Hi, everybody.
Right, there you are. And John Ward is joining us as well.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Si. All right.
Bien, gracias.
Wait, can you go back to Tim for 1 second? Is my big head in his camera view? What is that?
Big head.
Well, it's your...
Oh, that's Joe. That's
No,
Joe's
no.
hair.
Yeah,
that's Joe's hair.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
I thought
Joe's
it
hair
was
is
my head. I'm like, what angle am I looking at right now?
Now
There's my
Dave's
hand.
going to come in and start moving the
Cameras
cameras.
around. We're going to be fixing those and zooming them in. Way to go,
Just
Melissa.
to fluff him a little bit. It's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
It's time for your first message from the St. Antoine Communities, Melissa. So you're up right now.
So, so for those that don't know a lot about St. Antoine Community, I like to share always like my little spiel in the first message, but because I have a couple important messages, I'm going to change it up in the first spot today. Funny thing happened to me. I went into the kitchen at the Villa at St. Antoine yesterday to fill my cup of coffee up, and somebody who's been working there for like 15 years said to me, "Hey, Melissa, how can I get a loved one in here? Like what do I need to do? What do I need to plan? Who do I need to talk to?" And I was shocked because you think to yourself, this is someone who's worked here for 15 years. Don't they know how the process works, right? You just assume, I guess, someone who just probably has soaked up the process along the way. But it occurred to me, like, even for those that work inside St. Antoine Community, the concept of placing a loved one is challenging in many ways. Obviously, it's more personal, but also the complexity of just planning out for someone to transition from their home into long-term care can be really overwhelming and really daunting, even for those that work in the community. So I just wanted to encourage you, if you have questions about the process and kind of how to plan ahead, the logistics of finances or insurance coverage, things of that nature, feel free to reach out to me at 401-767-3500. I'd be happy to help you and coach you through the process.
Very good, Melissa. Thanks. Well, as Melissa was coming in today, she had 3 friends out on the road.
I did.
A couple of 3 wild turkeys walking down Kennedy
Well fed.
Street.
Big boys.
They found a new home in Woonsocket.
And one cat.
And one
Following it around.
very excited cat. Yes.
So,
I don't think that cat's going to win.
Cat was like a sheepdog herding the turkeys.
Herding the turkeys, okay. So it's always cool to see wild turkeys. I was up in Maine this past weekend visiting my son, and we were driving. We were actually heading towards the coast. We were on some back road, and oh my gosh, it must have been like 10 wild turkeys were crossing the road. Well, the unwritten rule is, because there was no one in front of him except for the turkeys, so he stops, and I'm behind him in my car. When he stops, he puts his flashers on.
Oh.
And then a car came from the other direction, and they stopped while the turkeys crossed the road, and they put their flashers on. And so when we stopped, they said, "What's the deal with that?" Well, that's just what we do so the people behind us know that we've stopped for a reason. Maybe they can't see why, but there's a reason why we stopped. That's why the flash was on. And what I didn't know this. What I was supposed to do, I was supposed to put mine on, and it's supposed to be a chain reaction of people putting their flashes on. I said, "I'm from out of state."
Yeah.
So your Massachusetts
I know. Normally you accelerate.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that
you,
rule, so
you can confirm that Maine is a state full of turkeys and flashers.
I can.
Hey,
That's right. Very good there, John. And he's always very proud to point out, and when we did get to the beach, he points out to the water. He goes, "England is that way as opposed to Rhode Island." When we're standing on the beach, we're looking
Bahamas.
south. The Bahamas
are
are
down
that way. So, all right. So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put on your flashers when you're letting the birds cross the
This
road.
show is just full of education.
I know.
This morning.
Oh, I said, okay. So Tim mentioned as we started the show, just before we started the show, the New England Patriots signed Stephon Diggs.
Finally, we got a
So
receiver.
there's a wide receiver to throw to.
Let's
But
just
I
hope
think he has
he's
a history
healthy.
of injuries, doesn't he?
No, I think
coming
he's
off
got a
his
little
ACL.
bit of a head case issue. That's what I think. I think
But he
he's
had
a little bit of a
he tore his
diva.
ACL.
Yeah, last year.
They say he should be okay, when camp opens in August and
Yeah.
we get ready for week 1 in September or
Right.
whenever.
Listen,
NFL starts,
there's some
be
better.
great.
I'm already going in. Like, we already.
He'll be great till August.
I'm thinking. I'm like,
Then immediately
first
gets
training camp,
started.
boom, done.
Listen, let's be positive, people. This is all about having somebody with experience and a reputation in the locker room, helping those other less
how you
than
do it.
perfect receivers
And how to
hopefully
catch
learn
the
how to
ball.
catch a football.
Catching only what actually reaches him from the arm of the quarterback,
True.
whoever that is.
Like when it hits you in the hands,
Yep.
you should catch it.
You should catch it.
Speaking of quarterback, did you guys see the footage of Drake May playing basketball? I guess he played basketball in
He's a
high
good
school. He was
basketball player, too.
phenomenal.
I think he played baseball as well. He's like he's one
like,
of those
he can jump.
the kids that I hated in high school because he was so talented.
Yeah,
Every
just
sport.
every
all the
sport.
girls,
Just pick it all up.
all the
girls
all the
wanted him.
things. He just had everything.
See, that always amazed me about some of the guys I knew in middle school and high school, good at one sport, but so you picked them to be on your team there because they were a good athlete. They can do another sport, and then they played like it was floor hockey. Lousy.
Yeah, well,
boy, you're not good at this at all, are you?
I was last to be picked for everything.
Not you, Melissa, right?
No,
you're
no.
right there.
Yep, natural athlete. Yep, can't relate.
There you go. Well, there
Yep,
you go.
can't
All
relate.
right.
I went for the boys that could do all the sports.
Oh,
so
see, you were that girl.
I was.
So
Well, at least you admit it.
we had I can't remember her name. We had a girl in middle school, and they split the gym, and because the guys on one side were it was time to do wrestling. Well, the girls didn't
Yeah.
want to wrestle. The girls did square dancing
Oh, I
amongst
remember that.
themselves. But one of the girls, she didn't want to square dance. And without making a big fanfare about it, we didn't have to bring in the press. We didn't have to have a bunch of things going on. They just said, okay, if you can get another girl to come over with you, then you two will be partners and you can be part of the wrestling program. And she went and talked to all the girls and got another girl. Come on over. And she wanted to. They didn't swear to us. They wrestled. So.
Cool.
We
beginning
were so far. This is
women's
1980.
wrestling.
We were
Yeah.
so far ahead of ourselves.
You were on the
And,
cutting edge,
We
Joe.
didn't have to get ACLU involved.
It just worked itself out.
It worked out fine. I don't think we had to get parents involved to sign waiver forms or nothing like that.
No, because
Created
Mr.
quite,
Behe.
created quite a brouhaha with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League yesterday when they had their decision on rules to change the wording of their participation language. They took out
From what?
they had specific language about not discriminating in any sport,
All right.
and it included based upon gender preference. And they
Okay.
took out that language, and they just said you can't discriminate against anybody, and it didn't list any specific reason.
You just can't
And
discriminate.
of course, the transgender community thinks that that's
It's
the
wrong.
reaction to Trump, and it's wrong, and how dare you, and there's so few of them participating, and it's not like people's faces get broken or backs get damaged.
What did you say? I think it was Oregon, but I'm not positive. The transgender woman goes from guy to being a girl. Was running in a 400-meter
Yeah.
state championship, and he won by 7 seconds. Just blew them away.
Yeah.
Well, that's my biggest problem with this.
But
is
because
it's
you're a
not
guy.
about- it's not about
biologically
participation,
different.
but when you have runners, specifically when you have volleyball players, basketball players, just on sheer strength, they can damage other people's bodies, and they
Yes,
have been
and
known
it
to do that.
has.
But in terms of running and swimming and things that go for speed,
Yeah.
they're going to set the records that I don't want to use the word cis female, any person born a female will never touch.
Yeah.
They just never will. They will get completely shut out of all national records because somebody who was a boy decided to become a girl and just blew the record out of the water, and no born female will ever come close to that. And so it's basically saying, you're women, you're second class, too bad. You don't get the chance to take those records anymore because somebody else decided they wanted it.
Melissa, I know your husband
knew you were
works.
gonna-
Well, he works at Holy Cross in
Sorry, is there
in the
interruption to the
in the
feed?
sports department, and is he dealing with this issue of transgender athletes and that want to participate? Okay,
There have been discussions, and
what's the rule there?
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay,
I don't know.
but
There's
he's
still
dealing with it.
discussions. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But that comes from the NCAA.
What's
So there's-
interesting is it's also a Catholic college, is it not?
It is.
So there's a
God, I
whole
knew you were
other
gonna say
layer
that next.
of
Yeah. Now, Tim, you not that you've been with Bryant University, and Navigant does a lot with Bryant University. Do you hear anything over there about transgender athletes?
Actually, I don't really hear much. Not that I am privy to some of the conversations, to any of the conversations over there, but just in anecdotally, I haven't really heard that there's been any challenges or problems or even discussions about it. So
Okay.
it doesn't affect everybody, but when it does, it gets loud.
It's a complicated topic. I mean, let's use football as an example. There have been female kickers. There have been,
Yes. Sure.
certain positions, I think, depending on what the sport is. When you're talking about track, individualized competition, or you're talking about, what's another good example? We're in March Madness.
Swimming.
So women's basketball, men's basketball. If you were to see a 7-foot giant center male, subsequently male, playing on a female team, obviously you would see the build difference. I mean, there would be some chemical makeup differences, I think, in what you're watching on the court. So I don't know. How do you make the ruling unless you make it specific to
Well, one of the arguments
body
is
weight
that
frame? Like,
when they're when men are transitioning to women, they're taking testosterone suppressants, right? So that they're trying to put their hormones into more of a female.
Well,
Form?
you can go into the other aspect of this discussion where some of them require that they do the chemical changes over a period of time, so it suppresses enough testosterone and changes muscle mass. But that doesn't change some of the fundamentals. Others say, well, if they start early enough, and then you start thinking, okay, start early enough.
What is early?
What's
So
early enough?
what's early enough? And do you consider putting a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old on medicines to the puberty blockers? Is that what should a parent have a right to do that to their child? And that's one of the things, I always talk about. Wait till the lawsuits come. They're already coming.
Yeah.
People who have transitioned or been transitioned by their parents with the consent of their parents, and the doctors who push it and are now being sued because, I've seen stories about this girl who had her breasts removed and will never nurse her child and wanted to be a boy, but now it's like,
Change my mind.
no, I grew up, I don't want that. The hormones
well, you bring up
kicked
a
in.
really valid point. Like, I think 18 being, like, if that's the margin for drawing the line for laws that are being looked at right now, I think, and not gone through any kind of chemical adjustments to your body prior to 18.
You're an adult. You can make your own
that
choices.
should be separated genders. But you turn 18 if you've turned 18 and you've chosen to take various meds, hormones. I equate it almost to, the steroid discussion. You got steroids and hormones can do very similar things to your body and alter the athletic performance of those individuals that are taking it. But that margin for me is like that 18 and up factor. Like, if you
And that should answer the question for high school sports.
right, so you just heard my answer for
Yeah.
high school sports, I guess, weeding through it.
Well, it's
But if you had to draw the
logical.
line somewhere, it's not that
Yeah.
I don't support kids that are going through tough times and kids that are really having a hard time identifying where they're at. My answer would still be, like, there's so much growth and development that still needs to happen. You just gave an example, but that's my personal belief. That doesn't mean that I don't agree with certain people in my life that I know have gone through that decision prior to 18. But I personally would say wait to 18, only because I've been raising 2 teenage girls, and by God, every year is a new personality.
Their frontal
and a
lobes
new
are
thing.
not developed yet.
Every year?
They're
You mean
not.
every week?
Every year. Every week. Every 3 weeks. It's just a challenging
before,
time.
Before the break, bad joke.
Yeah.
Ready for
Oh,
a
bad joke.
Right.
This is something one of my twisted brothers sent along, and it's kind of funny, and it's political, and don't beat me up. It's just a joke. Ready, folks? It's
Go.
just a joke. So
ready to hit the
he
off
said,
button or
he
the
said
mute button.
he thinks Donald Trump should declare himself identify as a woman,
I've heard that.
so he can be the first female
Female
president of the
president.
United States, and then see what the Democrats have to say about it.
That would be
Right, that
great.
is kind of funny.
All right.
There's no words.
And back to the trans athlete there in Oregon, and you hear that from female athletes. And they say, we know who this person is. When they were on the boys' team, they're lousy, but they come in 6th or 7th or 8th place.
Yeah.
They're just not as
Average.
good as their top guys. So they transition to us, and now they're superstars, and we don't think it's fair.
Seems like you've got to have a real problem with your competitiveness if you're willing to change your
Genders.
biological gender
Just
in
so you
order
can be
to
number
win.
one.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever want
But
to
is
see.
that argument any different than I'm hearing this trend of kids that are, I forgot what the proper terminology is, not declassifying, where they're dropping down a grade. So they're recategorizing. So, for example, 8th grade child, I won't say boy or girl in this example because there is a specific example I'm referencing, 8th grade child, okay in a specific sport, let's call it basketball. Parents decide, even though you could go on to 9th grade, let's hold you back in 8th grade to reclassify you. I think that's the term I'm looking for.
Yep.
So that they have an advantage
So you
as
could be
they're
at the
entering.
star
Yes.
in the 8th grade. Okay.
And that's becoming, that's a thing. That's a
Right.
real
and that's
thing.
and that's a parent's problem.
But how,
Yeah.
I think that just folds into this conversation of like, how is that any different than
Right.
angling for an advantage?
You know, it's just one of my grandchildren. They were at the date cusp, and there's a question of do they keep them with the date or do they let them hold back? But it had more to do with socialization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being the youngest versus being the oldest,
born in
and you
September
don't really have a
versus-
choice.
Now,
it's one
if
or the other.
that grandchild ends up being the valedictorian, then you would say to yourself, well, maybe you wouldn't, but those, competitive, angry parents would be like, oh,
Well,
they had an advantage. They were older. Like
But I don't know if it's
more
an,
mature,
what's an
more.
advantage. It's measured in months.
I'm not agreeing with
And
what
you-
I'm
and
saying.
you know-
I'm just suggesting an argument.
Well, all I know is Aaron Judge should have no right to become Karen Judge and play women's softball.
Okay, very good. We got to take a break here on the Coffee and program right now. So Melissa, it is please put down your Yeti cup.
Stop drinking.
And please give us a second message from the St. Antoine communities.
So I mentioned on the air last week that on April 1st, it's 401 Gives, hashtag 401 Gives. It's really a platform of an opportunity for everyone in Rhode Island to look up their charity of choice or their area of concern and donate. St. Antoine Community has been participating for the last 6 years that it's been around. And it's been a great opportunity for us to get exposure, to introduce ourselves to people who don't know the work that we do, and donate. And so I just wanted to make sure folks out there that are listening are aware that it's coming up, obviously, April 1st. This year, all proceeds that we raise are going to be channeled towards supporting some renovations on our special care unit, which is a 54-bed memory care unit for late stage Alzheimer's, any folks with late stage or complicated cognitive illnesses. And so your donation would greatly benefit those renovations that are desperately needed. And we just greatly appreciate your support. So again, pop on 401 Gives or go on our website and you'll find the link there this afternoon.
Very good, Melissa. Thanks. Coffee and program will continue. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Among the special bargains at your neighborhood Little General store are gold medal English muffins 6-pack package for only 99 cents each, while supplies last at Little General convenience stores in Pawtucket, Harrisville, North Smithfield, and Woonsocket. Little General convenience stores.
They say in business you don't last very long if you don't know what you're doing. And if that's the case, we must know a thing or two at the Carew Investment Group because we've been in the business since 1987, helping people just like you with their investments. At the Carew Investment Group, we employ a conservative approach to client portfolios by using only the best quality companies available, many of which pay quarterly dividends. We look for opportunities that we expect to go up in value not every day, but over time. And we take our responsibilities seriously and always place our clients first in any investment decision. If you'd like to know more or would like a free portfolio review of your current holdings, you can call Paul or Ed at 765-8880. Our office is located at 2190 Mendon Road, Suite 3 in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And we'd love to meet you and see if we can help you with your investing journey. Securities offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA and SIPC, and advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Hey, it's Lamar from Bob and Sherry. I finally had enough of carrying around those extra pounds. I knew I needed to lose weight. I can't tell you how much better I feel and how much more energy I have. PhD Weight Loss is making that happen. I've lost 30 pounds without pills, shots, or gimmicks. When you've had enough, they can make it happen for you. Start now. Call PhD Weight Loss 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com and tell them Lamar sent you.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
WOON, Woonsocket Radio, ON, AM, and FM.
All right, it's Coffee Ann here on ON. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Joe Callahan here with John Ward and Tim Draper and Melissa Smith. And just some sad news. Rhode Island's oldest resident
Yeah, 103.
has passed away, 111.
No,
11.
did you
Yeah.
say 3? We got a 105-year-old on our property.
really?
We do.
Wow.
No,
Jenny-
the state's former oldest resident.
Aw.
Yeah.
There is a new oldest
That's right.
resident.
But, Genevieve Marzalek of Bristol
Yeah, God rest her
at
soul.
111 passed away Sunday morning peacefully. Just
Good.
That's the way it should be.
natural causes.
Yep.
And who put out the message that she passed away? The Bristol House of Pizza. Yeah. Because she was
a regular customer?
customer.
House of
love it.
pizzas.
So they posted a message saying they're going to miss her. They're going to miss her wittiness and her spark and hearing about her life stories and her adventures and her smile and her laughter. I think that's great.
When you get to that age, boy, you got to be sharp.
It is funny. So the woman that I'm referencing, and I can say her name because I actually was just sent photos to put up on our Facebook page. Her name is Anita, and by golly, I was just talking with her yesterday. Still sharp. Beautiful white hair, like marvel at the thickness and the texture of her hair. I can't even tell you. Jealousy to them. I can't even. But the point is, she's still physically like active and moving and walking. She lives on the second floor of our assisted living. She can get herself downstairs
walks.
to the dining room. 105.
Good for her.
I'll show you a picture in a minute. You're going to be
That's
blown
fantastic.
Good genes.
away. And so you just
Yeah.
hope that in
That-
her situation, it's
and
just going to
living
be
healthy.
a
By the way,
middle of the night.
all you youngins, just so you know, the measure of you're getting older is when you read the obituary of the guy that sold you your newspaper route when you were.
So this woman said, did she ever smoke in her life? Or did she?
No, usually I don't
she
actually
ever
know
say?
her. I think she told me it a long time ago. I mean, I've known her for 7 years now.
Yeah.
I knew her when she was in her 90s.
Oh, yeah, she was a kid.
When she was a kid.
But every time you talk to someone who's really gotten into that, like I remember this one guy, Earl, who made it to 101, and I just loved Earl, secret crush on him. But he used to have, it was one of those classic cases, like a glass of whiskey every Sunday night.
Say it's usually
Okay.
whiskey and
And a
cigars.
glass of red wine every day at noon. He
right.
had his things, and right up until 101, he had a bike in his apartment, a sit-down bike,
Stationary, yeah.
stationary bike.
Yeah, and he'd ride it?
Every day.
Oh.
Yep. And then unfortunately the week before he passed, he just wasn't feeling right and he wasn't riding and then it just slowly progressed.
Ah, okay. Wow.
And but that's kind of what you want, isn't it? Quality of life right up to the end.
Absolutely.
You calling the shots.
All right.
Yeah.
Attitude.
Yep.
Yep.
Attitude.
All right.
And red wine.
All right, John, just in case you haven't heard, Rhode Island Senate President Dominic Ruggiero has returned to the State House. He's been gone for close to a month.
So he'll finally be
He
able
was
to.
suffering from pneumonia.
He'll finally be able to once again vote present.
Yes, he's. I didn't realize he was in his 70s. 76-year-old. He spent several
Hey,
days in the
what's
hospital.
wrong with that?
And then I didn't say anything. I just didn't know he was that old. I already know that about you, John. But then he spent 3 weeks in a rehab facility, and he went home on March 13th. So he is he's the Senate's longest serving member. So he's back wielding the gavel.
For
What
how long?
what was the hearing they had yesterday on they want to change the terms for reps and senators to 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
But then they
it's
want
a
to term limit
constitution-
them.
It's a constitutional amendment.
Right, but then they
thing.
want to limit them, right?
Well, yeah, you would do
Term
it
limits.
4 years, and then you would go with. I think they want three terms.
4-year terms, and you're
12
done.
years.
Because there's no term limits now, right? You can serve as long as you
No,
can.
there are no term limits except on the state general officers.
Government should have term limits.
All right. Well, if you got nothing to do this afternoon and want to go see the fun, we got Advocates for Gun Rights, and then we got
yeah.
Advocates for Gun Control. They're both meeting today at the State House. State House rallies today.
The annual event.
Yikes! So there could be lots of yelling.
That's
and
why the
screaming.
turkeys were coming around. They know the gun advocates will all be in the State House. They
Right.
don't
Yeah,
have
we get
anything
some
to
Safe
freedom
worry
across
about.
the street.
Safe across the street.
The group Rhode Island Gun Rights says it will be an opportunity for gun owners to push back against unconstitutional legislation that would infringe on their Second Amendment rights. Okay, meanwhile, groups like the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence will also rally, and its leaders are asking supporters to wear orange so you can tell who's who. So so you know who to shoot and not
my
shoot.
gosh.
I'm just kidding. You don't want to do that. So, although I don't have the time of when the rally is. Anybody know when the rallies are?
Nope, wasn't following the story.
No.
Well, the sessions usually start at 4 o'clock,
So
so
they're
if you
probably
show up
around
at the
there.
State
So
House
probably
anytime
before
after
4.
3 o'clock,
It's going to be
I'm
going
sure
on.
they'll be milling around.
Okay.
Just find
So
a news reporter.
That's what's going down at the State House, and wondering why the big crowd's over there. So, a man from Pawtucket becomes the first person to be sentenced under a law in Massachusetts called Kristen's Law. The law took effect in 2018, but he's the first person that's been sentenced because of it. And this is because the law says for drug dealers that result in a deadly overdose case. Okay? 44-year-old Wellick Morrison has been sentenced to 40 years for delivering the fentanyl that resulted in the death of a 35-year-old person in 2022.
Good.
So, according to the Attorney General, Peter Nerona, the push for fentanyl and drive overdose deaths must be held accountable in order to address the root causes of the drug-related crisis plaguing communities. So that person becomes the first person under Kristen's Law to be found to be sentenced for that. So, all right.
What a shame.
That we have to
punishment-
have this law?
The punishment's not severe.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You want it more? Okay.
Well, I want more. Yeah.
For fentanyl-related deaths? Yeah.
I know anybody that's out selling drugs, and it leads to someone's death. Yeah, I have no sense of mercy for.
Why shouldn't that be
whatsoever.
life in prison?
They tell you, he's got 40 years.
I'm not even talking life in prison. That's not enough for me.
There you go.
All right.
I think they should be caused to have them take the evidence and ingest it all at once.
Their evidence. Their
The
product.
evidence used in the
Their
trial
product.
against
You
them.
guys got to use your product.
Yes,
That's
let
an-
them
that's an
let them
interesting
let
way.
them eat 10 of the pills.
And see how
Have
they
fun.
feel. Yeah. Okay.
Good luck wherever you're going.
Well,
When you think about 30 years, I don't know why my brain's going in this direction, 30 years of prison, and you think about 30 years ago what life was like to what it is now, how do you adjust into society with how fast everything's moving?
Just watch
You mean
Shawshank
without the
Redemption.
internet,
I'm
without a
just-
cell
Right.
phone? They have them. What do you think?
No,
they're-
no,
Do
no.
you
I'm
think
not
they're
saying-
actually in prison?
No, I'm saying in 30 years something is gonna. I
Be
mean,
gone,
we can't
be
even
obsolete.
imagine. We're gonna be living like the Jetsons. I'm just trying to picture what does that look like
Yeah,
30 years
right.
to transition back into society.
Like I said, watch Shawshank Redemption and pour
Right.
red when he got to get out. And
It's gotta
not
be
Red. No,
challenging.
the other guy,
Brooks.
Brooks.
Yeah, got out and
It's got to be challenging. I think of the same thing about my father. He died in the 1980s, and it's like, with everything that's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Couldn't even
He
imagine.
used to wear a watch that it was a good thing that it had a battery and it would actually run itself, and he didn't have to wind
Mm-hmm.
it. Now it's their freaking heart monitors.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
it's true.
gotta wear
I
your,
can get an
your
EKG
Fitbit.
off of my watch.
That's right.
Checks your blood sugar too.
Yeah.
You can do just about anything. There was a house fire in Johnston, and 11 people were displaced by the house fire. This happened on Tuesday morning. Heavy smoke coming from the 3-story building. Significant damage to the home. Everyone in the building was able to get out. No injuries were reported. Red Cross assisting the residents who have been displaced. No word on the cause of the fire just yet. So, and it's got nothing to do with the mayor taking over the land by eminent domain.
Oh, in Johnson.
and like that, Johnson. So there's nothing new on that either. So
I'm glad the mayor tried to take the land by eminent domain because I think it's
He
going to
succeeded.
It's going to kick. Well,
Well,
yeah,
he's got
it's being
lawsuits
appealed in
against
court.
him. Yeah.
Which is another topic we can talk about the courts and how the Trump administration people are trying to, or the Republican legislators are trying to impeach judges over decisions, and it's like, you people are crazy. You're giving conservatism a bad name. If you don't like a decision, they're called appellate courts.
Yeah.
Just go do your appeal. But these guys, I think they took this land taking case, and it may end up pushing back eminent domain back into the Supreme Court if we're lucky, so it can undo things like happened in New Haven, where they took the land for commercial development, for community development of the city, and then the development never occurred after they took this person's property.
Right.
Wow.
I never
Okay.
thought that was a good decision at
Yeah.
all.
All right, we're going to take a break here in the Coffee and program, and more coming your way. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240. Time for the weather forecast being brought to you by unbound.org.
Mostly cloudy skies today, high near 50, calm wind, a 30% chance of some rain in the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, overnight low of 30, another 30% chance of some rain overnight. Thursday's weather, sunshine and 49. Thursday night, partly cloudy, overnight low of 34. Friday, mostly sunny and 55. Friday night, 60% chance of showers likely, mostly cloudy skies. It'll stay above freezing, be 40 on Friday night. Saturday, a 40% chance of some showers in the morning, but mostly cloudy all day, high of 50 with a breeze from the south. Saturday night, 50% chance of rain. Sunday, 60% chance of showers, mainly in the morning. Mostly cloudy all day, high of 45. Sunday night, 60% chance of more rain. Monday, 50% chance of showers, mostly cloudy, high of 57. And on Tuesday, partial sunshine, high of 47.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, where we do have mostly cloudy skies and 40 degrees.
A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world. It will change your own. Unbound.org.
Thanks, Tim.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love. A great auto mechanic can be a real comfort in your life. That's why so many people in the Blackstone Valley take their cars to Henry's Auto Repair on Park Avenue in Woonsocket. In fact, so many people trust Henry's that Henry's won 3 gold medals and 2 silver medals, 5 medals in all, in ON Radio's Best of the Blackstone Valley contest. Why don't you join these people? For Rhode Island car inspections, oil changes, brakes, and remember Henry's for tires, comprehensive repairs, or preventative maintenance, it's the award-winning Henry's Auto Repair, 1068 Park Avenue in Woonsocket.
Here's what's coming up next. Greatest Hits USA.
Hey, this is Chuck Matthews on Greatest Hits USA. And coming up this weekend, we're going to answer the following questions. What book did George Harrison give to a friend? Who took a bath in Dom Perignon? And who had the #1 record this week in 1974? Find out. Turn it up this weekend right here.
Greatest Hits USA.
It's Coffee In on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and John Ward and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for our first message from Unbound.org. Navigate Credit Union.
I want to piggyback on Melissa's last message about 401 Gives. It's a very important day in the nonprofit world in Rhode Island. And the United Way has set up an opportunity for nonprofits across the state to help fund some of the efforts to provide for their missions. As is St. Antoine Communities part of that program, so is the Navigant Credit Union Charitable Foundation. And our focus in what we do is we fund initiatives in the public health, safety, and well-being space, in social services, and financial education and education in general. So if you'd like to support any of those pillars that we have, the Navigant Credit Union Charitable Foundation can be found at 401 Gives starting on April 1st and running through April 2nd too, I believe. And we too will have the link on our website. But if you just go online, you certainly can find it with 401gives.org.
All right, there, Tim. Thanks. Well, they tried once again up in Massachusetts. The defense trying to get the Karen Reed case thrown out, and the judge, who's very obstinate, and I think that's just my opinion, said absolutely not. And jury selections start today up there in Dedham, Massachusetts.
How do they continue to have it in that town? I mean,
In Dedham?
Yeah, I mean,
That's where the courthouse is.
Yeah, no, but everyone seems to have
know
heard
about it.
Karen Reed at this point. I mean,
Well, that's now you got the judges, not the attorneys come in. Well, have you been biased against this case? And,
right. What's the argument now? Is that the prosecution saying they want the defense, they want the text messages between Karen Reed and her attorney because she talked about them in some public forum, which now makes them public documents versus attorney-client privilege. That was another layer yesterday that they were arguing. It's amazing the posturing that's going on in this case.
It's crazy. So if you've seen the documentary,
Is it on?
it's on.
Okay.
It's not. I thought it was supposed to be on Netflix. It's on HBO Max or whatever.
Okay.
It's only like a 4 or 5 episode documentary. I think there's probably another one to come. It seems like this is a story that a lot of people will try
Well, they're
to.
going to want to have the
Eventually
actual
it'll be a
verdict.
movie.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I didn't know a ton about it because we talked about it a few
Yeah.
times here, and we just kept saying, we're missing some details, I'm sure. But so to see the timeline of events kind of laid out in front of you during the series was fascinating. It really was. It's disturbing because the heart of the story is this poor man died, and
Right.
so much attention is on her and her manic behavior, which she is
Nuts.
certifiably crazy.
She's
not a Girl
crazy.
Scout.
She is certifiably
Not a Girl
crazy,
Scout.
and she kind of admits it too. She's
yeah.
not for everyone, and you
She's
see
a
that.
lot.
You also learn that
She's a
the night
handful.
of the incident, like all of these cops, their wives, whoever else, like even EMTs, fire people, all out drinking. And when I say drinking,
Oh, a lot.
the
Power
bartender
drinking.
gave an account like 13 drinks before they all got in their car to drive.
Right.
She had 13 drinks in her body that
in
night
a snowstorm.
in a snowstorm, and you
Yeah.
just like in picturing all of these responsible citizens in these responsible roles, thinking they're above the law driving.
But see, that's the to me
you
that's the essence of the cover up right there.
There's all these pieces that fold into it, and I wanted to look for the cover up. I'm a little swaying that she's guilty. Like, it's definitely crazy and definitely manipulative.
I
And
just don't know how
definitely
anybody
I
can
don't see
testify
it.
about anything that occurred after they each had 13 drinks.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. This is the part where I do sway on the other side,
Right.
and I'm with you a little bit, Joe.
Yeah.
The prosecutors botched the whole trial.
did.
He was
Yes.
terrible. He was nervous. He was shaky. This became a Hollywood level trial, and this
Yeah.
was not someone that you wanted presenting the case. He was nervous. His voice was shaky. He forgot critical pieces to present.
See, and
he botched the whole thing.
And I look at that as again, it's intimidation of the people who are if he does anything wrong, right, and she wins this case, and then those other people get anybody other than Karen Reed that could be responsible for this.
Yes.
He's going to be the one take the heat for it,
Yep.
and he's got a lot of law enforcement people,
Yep.
and people in high places.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be nervous.
There were a couple characters that you said, oh, they might have been the one that did
Yeah.
it. So you really can't tell through who's lying. The drinking part was a big portion of the story, but the snow and just the fact that you had one round of like local officers at the scene of the crime, snow blowing some of the scene where the body was, didn't find anything, and then of course several hours later, however many inches more of snow later, these guys come in on like a federal task force, and they're able to suddenly discover like 30 shards of plastic fixtures from the taillight and
taillight, yeah.
a sneaker and whatever else, and you're thinking, well, how did the guys several hours before with much less snow
miss
not
all
find those things?
Right.
I know.
So there are pieces, and I won't get into all of it, but
Well, it's also the whole.
it is fascinating and disturbing.
The lead investigator, Michael Proctor, was just last week. I think was fired
Yeah.
from the job. He's not a cop anymore. It's
Yep.
just because he did such a lousy job screwing this whole thing up, and so that's why I think that's where the cover up is. He,
Well,
he
so this
screwed it up.
incident happens, and they address the body, and they like sort of remove the body from the scene or whatever. No one went into the house to investigate the house
Yeah.
or sweep the house or pull everybody out. And the guy who lived in the house, what was his role? He's like not the chief of police, but he's like high up in the ranks of the local police force. And they said, well, why didn't you come out of your home? You must have heard the commotion. I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything. Yeah.
Yeah, you not hear
There's
anything.
flashing lights in the front of your house in the middle of the night.
And
You
it's
didn't see
not
any of
like,
that?
I think about the fact that
he was
I
passed
live
out
on
on
several
the couch.
acres and I'm far removed from the road. There's a snowstorm and wind. Maybe I wouldn't hear what's happening at the top of my street, but the house is like on the street. Like it's very
All I know is I'm sitting on the
short
couch
lawn
and I
front.
see red or blue lights flashing in my windows,
You always
even if
look
it's.
out, see
I
what's
always
going
look
on.
out. I'm like,
What's
what's
going
going
on?
on?
And
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was midnight or 1 a.m. At that point, it was like 6 a.m.
Mm.
So you're like, how did you not? I don't know.
Well,
so
the
watch the
trial-
series. It was very entertaining if you're able to watch it.
The new trial begins this coming Tuesday. The fun begins this coming Tuesday.
That's if they can seat a jury, right?
Well, I don't know when they're going to seat the jury. I thought it was going to start today, but maybe that starts on Tuesday. Let's start picking people. So, or maybe they picked that ahead of time. Okay, well, we started on April 1st.
One last thing
So-
I'll add. I wonder if that piece with the jury, if they're going to change what they allowed. So one of the things that came up in the documentary is that the jury was hung, and largely because of the disturbances and noise outside the courtroom. So when you watch the documentary, you see there's quite a following for Karen Reed chanting obnoxiously
outside.
all the hours while the sessions were going on. And so I guess
So the
while they
jurors
were,
could hear that.
they could hear
outside.
that. And when they were in,
Yeah, but they don't have to worry about that because all those people are now outside keying Teslas.
well, there you go.
They're otherwise occupied.
But I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more of a shutdown situation, knowing now.
She made that ruling, I think last night or yesterday. Was it no
No
protests, no.
Let's push them back like
I think
a
I don't
1,000 feet
think they're
or
going to be
something
allowed.
like that.
Yeah, they're not going to be allowed anywhere near the courthouse.
Because that courthouse is like 1,000 years old, so I can see where they can hear
Single pane
everything
glass
there.
windows, very efficient.
Yes, and I've been in the jury pool in that building before, and the jury's down in the dungeon in that place with the ceiling that's about at 5 feet. Everybody's got to stoop under to get into the doors. It's just so old. Anyway, the good news is, the World Figure Skating Championships are in Boston this weekend.
That's
so
going to be.
if you want to just go, yeah, it takes place at the Garden. Up there, and it starts. The women's short program starts at 12:05 on Saturday. So
When do they do it? They're doing a memorial for the
I was
the
just
plane
gonna ask
victims.
that.
2 months after the mid-air crash in Washington, which claimed the lives of 6 members of the host club, organizers plan to pay tribute to them at the event. Oh, it actually starts today.
Okay, good.
So that's what's going on up there. So that's very nice. And it was a year ago today that the bridge in Baltimore crashed into the
and now
the
of course
ocean.
the Department of Transportation sending messages to all the people, all bridge owners around the country where that is a
Well, they identified
heightened
the Pell,
concern.
yeah.
Pell Bridge is on that
on the
list, right?
Will it be okay if a frigate
What do you do
into
with the Bridge and Turnpike Authority sitting there going, oh no, now we got to worry about this bridge?
Well, the problem I would have with being able to identify it as potentially at risk, the whole premise of building a bridge and having a toll is that you're paying tolls every time you cross the bridge. That money is supposed to be specifically set aside first to maintain that bridge.
Right.
Okay.
So
Is it?
what are
Where's
they doing
that
with the
money?
freaking money?
Yeah.
Well, a buddy of mine was on the Bridge and Turnpike Authority. He was
Oh, yeah,
telling
this is
me-
Rhode Island. I'm sorry. I
He
should
was-
have known better.
He was telling me that when they painted the bridge the last time they did it, that it was the cost to paint that bridge was $71
It's
million.
huge. It's a year-round job.
Because they
isn't it?
couldn't let one flake of paint fall in the bay because it was lead.
Oh.
And so they had to positive pressure sections of the bridge to strip the old paint and then put the new stuff on. And it's crazy. Now, in the meantime, if you've ever driven over that bridge lately, the potholes and the...
on the bridge,
it's
wow.
unbelievable. And what's worse is the Mount Hope Bridge.
Yeah.
Also under the bridge.
Well, Mount Hope Bridge should have been replaced about 10 years ago.
Right.
But the Pell Bridge, it's horrific to think about how much money they collect in tolls, and yet it's not enough.
Does that money go in the general fund?
Well, I don't know. I don't
Maybe
think
it
so. I
does.
think it stays with the Bridge and Turnpike Authority to maintain the bridges.
So what is the
But
revenue versus the expense?
Where's it going?
Be interested to find that out.
All right, and they're still on the lookout up in Massachusetts because they had a shooting a double murder actually in Brockton, Mass, and they're still looking for the shooter. They're looking for 22-year-old Da Vinci Leonard. He's charged with 2 counts of murder in the fatal shooting of a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old outside a Chipotle restaurant near the Westgate Mall. I don't know how well you know Brockton, but Westgate Mall is right near Route 24.
One of them was from Rhode Island, weren't they? One of the victims.
I don't have that information here.
I think one of the victims was from Rhode Island.
I didn't think the Westgate Mall was open anymore.
Well, it's a
Why did I
big,
think
wide
it was-
open area, but there's a Chipotle restaurant there. And I
Oh,
think
what am I
there's a-
thinking of? I'm not thinking of the Westgate Mall.
So Swansea, the Swansea Mall is not open anymore.
Might be the Swansea Mall.
Yeah, and
Or
there's a
Golden Garden. Something.
The only place I've
There's
ever
a
been
movie
in Brockton
theater
is
there,
Westgate Bowl, the bowling alley. There.
That's right there.
Is it right
That's
there?
right where the mall is the bowling alley. So,
I wonder if
so
it's
that's where
still
it took
operating.
place. So they're still, and they think the suspect may have, excuse me, changed his appearance. Great, so I don't know, shaved off his beard or something like that. Tim, it's time for a second message from Navigate Credit Union. Then we'll take another break here in Coffee and
So spring has arrived, and as all thoughts turn to
baseball.
well, okay, it turned to baseball too, but I was thinking more like home improvements, Joe. If you do own a home and you are looking to make some of those improvements, maybe you want to put in a nice patio or a deck, you want to put an addition on, put a pool in, whatever it might be, and you want to use the equity that's in your house because, as we've learned, the price of housing in Rhode Island is now has gone up once again. So there's probably a little equity in your house. And if you would like to use some of that equity to put in some of those home improvements, please give us a call, 233-4700, or you can go right online and apply in our lending center for any of your home equity or home equity line of credit needs. We're here to help all the time, so please feel free to give us a call. Go and see Christian, by the way, up in Woonsocket here at the Park Square branch. He's great, and his team is great. So if you would like to do that, please do so.
All right, Tim, thanks. And more of Coffee and is coming up. Stay tuned.
Wow. Can you believe Gators Pub is celebrating its 35th year in business? Maybe the key to Gators' success is our super friendly staff. Or maybe the fact that the chefs at Gators are constantly making some of the freshest and most delicious dishes around. If you've never been, come on down and check out our great lunch specials from Monday through Thursday. They also offer complimentary soup during lunch. Watch the Boston Red Sox on one of our many TVs while enjoying classic apps like fresh potato skins or our famous pita chips. Come watch a volleyball game and have a burger or one of our newest cocktail creations. Gators is located on Route 102 in North Smithfield, about 1 mile before Wright's Chicken Farm. Come say hello.
Hey, not to be dramatic, but you should smell this. Smells so good.
Whoa, that's quite the reaction to mixing and matching Gain scents. Let's hear another from Ashley, who mixed Gain products and went,
I'm so excited.
yes, you are. What about you, Isaiah?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Join the Alzheimer's Association Rhode Island chapter for our free Caregivers Journey and Research Conference, Thursday, April 17th at the Crown Plaza in Warwick. Numerous breakout sessions, opportunities to connect with statewide resources, and professional respite care will be provided. Registration is required. Register today online at alz.org/RI. That's alz.org/RI.
Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper and John Warden. Does everybody remember who is Luigi Mangione?
Yes.
Yes.
I know the name. Why do I know the name?
United
You'll know
Healthcare
it.
killer.
He is the alleged killer of the
There we
United
go.
Healthcare. Well, he wants a laptop
For what?
in his jail cell in order to... Melissa's laughing.
I'm just laughing because we were just talking about
Communicate with his
amenities
fans.
in jail. I can't.
Well, he says no, but he wants his laptop in jail to view documents related to his case. His lawyer asked if he could be given a laptop solely to look at documents. He would not be able to communicate with anyone through the laptop, and it would not be able to connect to the internet and run any kind of entertainment. He couldn't watch this Karen Reed thing on Netflix. His legal team said there isn't enough time for Mangione to review the information with his defense team, so he's just sitting there doing nothing. So
can't you give him not a laptop, but like a Kindle or something that's just like a
E-reader.
little
e-reader? Well, I don't know.
My solution is
Give him papers.
We have you on videotape shooting a man in the back. The answer to you on everything is no.
It's up to your lawyer to put together your defense. You don't have to review anything.
Old school print.
How do you defend that?
How about paper? Yeah,
Old
there
school.
You
Yeah.
go. I don't know.
Like John said, you
Can
got
you-
him on.
Can you
I
prove
guess he
it?
had a
Can you
he
prove
got a
it's
mask.
really him?
He did have a mask on, so you'd have to be.
If
All right.
a hair in the Karen Reed trial can be stuck on the back bumper after that vehicle drove for 60 miles or however many miles and still stay on there in a blizzard, then there's got to be DNA evidence on a guy that was shot in the city in perfect weather elements.
Right.
So that's how
All right. Well,
it's all going to come back to Karen Reed. I'm just letting you know from here on out.
over the last 30 years, the city of St. Louis would have what they call their Pride Fest in the city, and Anheuser-Busch would sponsor it. Well,
Not this year.
They're stepping away. We don't want to be involved in this kind of stuff anymore. So they're looking for a new major sponsorship. So along with other sponsors who are ending or reducing their contributions. So they've had other sponsors, and everyone's just pulling away. Officials say that leaves Pride Fest short around $150,000. The 45 for 45 fundraising campaign is raising money for the 45th year of this celebration. It doesn't say when the Pride Fest is. I'm sure it's sometime in the summer. Aren't we having one in Woonsocket?
June.
Same time as the one in Woonsocket?
June is Pride Month.
Is it? Well, okay, that's probably when it will take place then. All right. Let's see. Other things going on. There was something else over here I wanted to read. 23andMe filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah. I heard,
get your records back.
Too late. Those
no,
are
I think they're encouraging you to go on and
cancel
and delete.
everything?
Yeah.
How can you make sure that you've done that though? That's the thing.
I don't know.
That's
you got to take their word for it. That's
Why do I think some Chinese billionaire is going to buy the company outright and then do nothing with it except keep the records?
Well, that's all part of the whole thing of the sale. You got to, keep the privacy of all the people.
Good luck.
You're going to sign a paper to do that. Oh, sure, we'll do that. Don't you worry.
all of that.
Wow.
This is just
they can buy the company. They can file bankruptcy for the company that did my dog's DNA. I never did my DNA, so
You did your dog's DNA? I love
did
that.
I did Ancestry.
Yeah,
So far,
it's
they're
actually-
pretty healthy.
This one's funny. He's 72 pounds. He is essentially a sheepdog and a Great Pyrenee mix, 25% Great Pyrenee, and Australian sheepdog, and Border Collie. And then you get down to the bottom of the list. He's actually, I don't know, one's 2 and one's 3%. He's Chihuahua and Pit Bull.
Yeah.
That's a great.
I think I'll have a little pit bull in
That's a
them.
very angry Chihuahua.
So yeah, they're just warning people. Privacy experts are warning that your DNA, if you went to 23andMe, a DNA of millions of people is up for sale.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with it? I don't know. So,
Sell
so
it to the
something to be
FBI.
worried about. Oh, okay. Not that this affects any of us, but the state of Montana is one signature away from having their signifying an official sport. And what do you think the official sport of Montana could possibly be?
Official sport, cross-country skiing.
No, that's a good guess though.
I don't have a guess. This is not something I've thought about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rodeo?
Rodeo, correct. Very Tim. Excellent job.
Him.
Rodeo is one signature away from becoming the official state sport of Montana.
Well, it should be.
The State House overwhelmingly
Yellowstone.
approved the bill last week, making American rodeo the state sport. It just now needs the governor, Greg Gianforte, to sign it. The law will take effect immediately once he does.
Huh.
So come out and see the official state sport.
Yeah, I knew that.
Of,
I didn't guess at that at all.
Well, Montana, there's still a lot of horses
that's kinda what I
out that
figured.
way, and cows and things like
bullfighting.
that. Yeah.
I can almost see California naming official state sport soon.
What will that be, John?
Pickleball.
That's certainly possible. Hey, Napster got sold.
Napster's still around?
I was just thinking that.
Napster just got sold for $200 million.
Is it making a comeback? Like, what's happening?
The file sharing app became famous 25 years ago. It's been that
Oh,
long.
and I used it
For allowing users to swap
relentless
music
about
files
using it.
free of charge, and was shut down by lawsuits 2 years later. In 2016, Napster became a music streaming service with licenses to stream millions of tracks.
It's the licenses that are worth the money.
On Tuesday, it was acquired by 3D tech company Infinite Reality. Infinite Reality is the name of the company. For $207 million. Infinite Reality says it will use Napster to create virtual 3D spaces that allow music fans to enjoy concerts or listening parties together and let musicians and music labels sell merchandise.
I'm not sure I follow any of that.
It's like an interactive music space where you can.
I guess.
But isn't that already available in other like YouTube format and Amazon Music format and?
I guess.
For those of us who watch Star Trek, we recognize this is our next step in the evolution to holodecks.
Oh, I can't
there
wait
you
for the
go.
holodeck.
I told you I was in Maine over the weekend. My son took us to a record shop.
An old
Yeah,
gold
like
school
a
record
vinyl.
shop?
A
Vinyl.
shop. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
In downtown Portland. I'm like, and they had other things in there too. You could actually buy 8 tracks.
Wow.
I didn't see any,
they're all there.
cassettes, but 8 tracks they didn't have a lot.
Yep.
Maybe like 12.
Did they sell
I said,
players to go with
well,
them?
no, that's the problem. You have to have one to work it.
What are you
and I
going to
said,
buy?
what are
You
these?
got to go out and find the 1968 car?
But I'm like, but I'm thinking, well, what are these? A penny? But no, $15.
Yeah, were you in a
If
Blue
wanted
Moose? Was that
one.
called a Blue Moose store?
No.
There's
At least I don't think so.
Because there's a vintage store like that
It
also
was-
in Portsmouth, and I've been to both.
Well, this is Portland.
Right, Portland, Maine,
Oh,
and then
okay.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They're
Okay.
only like an hour
The
from each
one
other, but
the one in Portland, Maine, was very close by to the Cross Insurance Arena where the Maine Mariners
I'm feeling
play
like
hockey.
that's But it is astonishing because you see all
It
the
was
old
amazing
stuff.
what's in
You've
there.
got
Yeah.
cassettes, you've got CDs, and you've got vinyls. But I have to tell you, these kids are. They're
I have-
using the retro stuff. My
I have-
kid's
Yeah.
got a vinyl record
Joe.
player.
Yeah.
The cars have CD players, the old ones that the kids
Yeah.
drive. They're all getting CDs again.
right. Wow.
eBay, 8-track tape player, $210.
Yeah, it's a real. It's a.
Oh, what else I saw in there was, and I haven't seen these for years, was a reel-to-reel tape player.
yeah.
$600.
I wish
Yeah.
I wish my dad had
wow.
a bunch of those things, and I think we just threw them.
We just
That
had a
was so
conversation about boom boxes in our
Yeah.
house the other day because
You
we
sure,
were just.
you sure there's not one of those downstairs in the basement here?
There could be.
All right.
One of the
then-
saddest things in my life, aside from the fact my grandparents sold their house on the lake in Maine.
Oh, yeah. Maine Cabin Masters.
Right. Was that my grandmother had one of those 1958 bubble Wurlitzer jukeboxes in her basement that played 78 records. And it was filled with 78 records. And when she was moving and they were selling the house, nobody wanted it. So they're like, we'll just, I think they sold it for like $100
Oh my gosh.
in 1979, 1980.
Those are beautiful.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Those things are like $12,000
So
to buy.
what do
and then
we
you gotta
have right
restore
now
them.
that we need to hang on to and preserve in
I
our
have
house?
45s. I have 2 shoe boxes worth of 45s.
No, I don't mean that. Like, what's
Nothing.
today's technology? Exactly, everything's disposable.
it's-
So, like,
Yeah.
is there anything that? So that's how they probably looked at it. Like,
I
whatever, it's
know,
not going to be
but,
valuable
so
someday.
sad.
But the next time I'm going up to Maine, I'm not sure when, but next time, because I talked to the dealer in there, I said, "Do you buy LPs?" "Yes, we do." So I have a cart full of them.
Bring 'em up.
I say, "What range of price?" He goes, "It all depends. You know,
Condition,
do I need it?
right.
Is there
Does it
a
have the
market
sleeve
still a market
inside?
for it?"
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Anywhere from 50 cents to $15." I'm like, well, I'll have to see what it can come up with.
Right.
All right, the
Have
woman.
you got your Iron Butterfly record
I
where
don't
one
have
side
Iron
is in a
Butterfly.
god?
You should at least take those records and digitize them so that you get all the little crackling sounds.
Oh, the
and all that
crackles.
other
yeah.
stuff.
Amanda donated because I talked about it on the air when we were opening Primrose Lane. We have a vinyl record player there, and I was looking for donations of records. When her mom passed away, she gave me, I don't even know how many hundreds of
that's
vinyls.
nice. Yeah.
So we have them, and I have so much fun going through them periodically just to kind of rotate because you can't leave all of them out
Right,
in the middle of
right.
the common area. So I'll change them out every so often. But it's the crackle. It's
Yeah.
like the Kenny Rogers
Crackle-a-bum.
crackle or the Neil Diamond crackle, just a little something. But it was a wonderful donation. But they're treasures.
Yeah.
Really.
All right, the woman who murdered that singing superstar Selena all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, years ago.
She's up for parole in just a few days. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice says Yolanda Saldivar is undergoing the parole review process. It'll be 30 days to the day next Monday that she shot and killed the singer at the hotel in Corpus Christi. Remember, she was the head of her fan club?
Yep.
And her biggest fan?
She was
Stalker.
obsessed. Yep.
Yes.
Obsessed.
Saldivar was the president of the Selena's fan club. The star had just found out she was embezzling from her. Saldivar is now 64, serving a life sentence. If she's denied parole, her next review date will be 1 to 5 years from now.
So there's your 30-day example. So she was in jail 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Why did I say 30-day? 30 years ago.
Right. Things
What would
change.
it be like transitioning now in your 60s? How you left life 30 years ago is very different today.
It's just the prison experience today is not the prison experience you think of when you see Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, that's true.
The prison experience today exposes you to modern technology and news and information that maybe 30 years ago you didn't get when you were in prison. When you went into a cell, you got newspapers
So they don't get
secondhand,
like
you
the
had
2-minute
library books.
payphone
You
moment.
didn't- Now you get cell phones, I would imagine, and all kinds of other ways of communicating with the world. And of course, your relatives can bring you drugs.
There's always a flyover drone.
Throw that right in there.
All right. Now, this is what we need. As we wrap things up, 2 congressional sneakerheads are hoping to restore the soul of Congress. Florida Democrat Jared Moskowitz and Texas...
Whoa, stop. Congress has a soul?
S-O-L-E.
Oh, okay.
Florida Democrat Jared Moskowitz and Texas Republican Wesley Hunt are co-chairing the Sneaker Caucus. Its aim is to unite lawmakers with a shared love of sneakers to find common ground and foster bipartisan cooperation through community events. So kicking off in May, they will have Sneaker Day on Capitol Hill, which will serve as a shoe drive for the nonprofit organization Souls for Souls. Get it? Hunt is donating...
Is David Letterman hosting?
Hunt is donating a favorite pair of Air Jordans. So. Well, they're trying to come together.
Those old geezers are all going to need Skechers that they can slip into.
All right. I love Skechers. Those are my favorite.
All right. That'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Always appreciated. Melissa Smith, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. See you next week.
All right. And Tim Draper, thanks for coming in.
Bye, everybody. Great to be here.
All right. And John,
by the way, that guy that I bought the newspaper route from is Bill Dubois. He was a city employee. We lived down the street, and that was a long time ago. I bought 55 papers from him. God rest his soul. And you all go out there and enjoy the God-given day.
All right. This is Joe Callahan. Have a great day. Stay tuned for Community Connections. It is coming up next here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is